So, what is the most empowering thing you can do in this human experience? To know genuine inner peace and absolute freedom. And that is to know and abide and embody your true spiritual nature. We are human spiritual beings, and so many are just living in the personal self, the egoic story of self, the conditioning, the programming, the thoughts, the beliefs, the egoic identity, and not attending to the revelation, the revealing of our immense, beautiful, vast, boundless, miraculous spiritual nature. So what I'm inviting today is to make your knowing of your spiritual wholeness a center point of your life. To make the study and exploration of who you really are, your divinity, your grace, the truth of your being, to make that exploration, that awakening, that revelation of the true self, a central and intentional point of awareness in your life. And I call this attending to the garden of truth. You may know the phrase, the truth shall set you free. What that means is to know, to abide the truth of your spiritual being, of who you really are, beyond this personal self, beyond the mind, body, ego experience. Who are you really? To know that. To quiet the mind long enough to drop into the heart, to allow the blossoming of that which we already are and always have been to be revealed. It's sometimes called the fragrance of being. To allow it requires that we make the exploration of our truth a real central part of our lives. And the reason I call it attending to the garden of truth is because imagine if you're studying on a regular basis, you're consuming content that is pointing to truth, you're reading books that are pointing to the full dimensionality of your human spiritual being. You've got people in your life that you have these types of conversations with, that you are journaling around the dynamics of your programming, your conditioning, your traumas, your wounding, your truth, your grace, the love that you are, the peace that you are. You're inquiring in your meditations, who am I really? What is the nature of my suffering? These are all the ways of attending to the garden of truth. You're planting seeds, your watering plants are already growing, you're trimming, you're pruning away that which is not true, you're bringing in more light, you're attending to the soil, to the fertility of your own understanding of the full dimensionality of your human spiritual being. You're attending to all of this. And what happens is that then there's fruit that is being born of this attendance, of this beautiful gardening that you're doing to live a consciously alive and attentive life is attending to that garden of truth. And it bears fruits that are nourishing, fruits of truth. So that when you get lost in a story and you get triggered by something happening in life, and you realize that your ego is triggered and afraid and defending and reacting, and you think to yourself, oh, okay, I'm triggered, I'm in my egoic reactivity, I'd rather be in my truth, which is I've studied and I start to recognize is peace and is grace and is love. I'd rather be in my truth. How do I get back to my truth? Well, the beautiful thing about living a consciously attentive life and being a student of your own spiritual nature is that those fruits are available. All you have to do is stop for a moment and reach for the truth that you've been cultivating. Oh, there it is. Take a bite of love. Let the nectar of love and peace and grace be known, be tasted. Pull a flower over of beautiful scent and breathe it in. Breathe in the truth of your own being that you've been cultivating, that you've been growing, that you've been attending to with love and patience as a good gardener. That's the advantage of living a life that brings your spiritual studies to the center of your life. Because what you're doing is you're studying the most essential nature of yourself. You're studying and bringing your attention to the most true part of yourself. This is the amazing thing. Who we think we are is not who we really are. Most of us are living in an illusion of self. And it's just this little sliver, a little story from what we've learned from mom, dad, media, school, society, etc. And we've built an idea of self, and it's just this dream. It's this little. It's a construct. It's not who we really are, and yet that's how most people are living, as that, and they're not attending at all to the vast, beautiful, magnificent grace of the truth of themselves, the truth of their being, of that beautiful combination of source and soul that is inhabiting the human experience that will end someday. We're attending to the transient and egoic nature of ourselves and not attending to nurturing and revealing and fostering the growth, the revelation of who we really are. So that is the value of living a consciously curious and attentive and intentional life, about being a student of consciousness, a student of the essential self. To study your spirituality, to study your spiritual nature. You don't create your spiritual nature. And when I say cultivate that garden of truth, you're not creating a truth. You're allowing it to sprout up and flourish. It's already present. It just needs some cultivation so that it can flourish. And then as it flourishes and burgeons, then it's available. It's available. It's like wandering through a beautiful garden of truth, of love, of peace, awakened, blossomed, fragrant. And it's always right there. And so when we start to get lost in the content of the human experience, which we want to be able to play with and enjoy thoroughly, and experience thoroughly, because it's not always enjoyment. It's sadness, it's grief, it's difficulty, it's all of these things. But to thoroughly experience all of it with an equanimity of grace, of truth, we need to cultivate the blossoming of that truth. I do this because it feels like it's from within. That's just one way of bringing words to it. To allow it to blossom requires attention and study and curiosity and conversations and meditations and intentional inquiries. Who am I really? Why do I feel the way I feel? Where does that come from? What are my thoughts? What are my beliefs? Do I have to believe them? What are they made of? There's no real substance there. Well, then what's real? Oh, the essential nature of my being, the I am of being, the pure I am is what's real. And how do I know what that I am is? I meditate. I attend studies. I read. I practice. I breathe. I think. I journal. With an attention to what's true and what is real. So let's cultivate our garden of truth so that it's always bearing fruit that is available to nourish us consistently and beautifully. This is the Garden of Eden, to return to the essential nature of our being so that we're just in it, of it. There's no separation. All right, my friends, blessings. Be well. Much love.